Welcome into another edition of NBA Soundsystem. Gil McGregor here with my guy, Kyle Irving. And if you are hearing this, one, the NBA Finals are here, and two, the New York Knicks need a new head coach. We're going to get into both of that. Obviously, we're going to focus mostly on the NBA Finals, but today we're recording this on June 3rd, and we were hit with a pretty stunning Shams. We haven't had a name for that yet, or whatever it is, a Shams selection. I don't know what we're going to call it, but that stunned us today. But before we get into that, K.I., what's up, man? How you feeling?
As you're saying that, I'm feeling good. But as you're saying that, I'm like thinking to myself, like, I still have Woj tweet notifications on, like, just in case he likes. What, have you turned them off yet?
Yesterday, literally yesterday.
Was the first time?
Literally yesterday.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure there are some other listeners out there that still have their Woj notifications on too, just in case we get something beyond, the St. Bonaventures updates. But anyway, yeah, big Shams notification came in today. Tom Thibodeau. I mean, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. Gil and I haven't shared any thoughts on it at all yet. We're both busy today, so I'm excited to break it down all right now.
Yeah, it was perfect. I texted Kyle as soon as it happened. I was like, well, we got something to lead the show with. And like I said, we're going to lead the show with the Thibodeau news, and then we will get into an NBA Finals preview. But, I mean, it's funny. Our last upload as we speak right now on YouTube is what's next for the New York Knicks. And neither one of us thought that they were going to make a coaching change. I think they I guess people said that they didn't really have a choice, and maybe they didn't. I don't know. I didn't see it that way. They finally get over the hump. Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. 2 wins away, obviously didn't have enough. And obviously, Tom Thibodeau has his flaws. We know about the lack of depth, or the lack of trust in the depth and the heavy minutes for the starters. And Mikal Bridges kind of had an interesting quote about it, and people have cited that. And what Leon Rose said was that going to the conference finals isn't enough, and they won't stop until they get a championship. But I guess we could start there, Kyle. Like, based on what we said about the state of the Eastern Conference and how it does kind of feel wide open, does this kind of feel like an overcorrection or something that they had to do in order to take the next step?
Yeah, I had to think about it for a minute, like which side of the coin I'm on here, if I liked it or didn't like it. Because on one hand, I do understand the people that are like, well, he has clear flaws, and, was he really going to be the coach to get them over the hump and everything like that? But then the more that I sat with it, it's like, I completely disagree with the decision they end up making. And I feel like it's a knee-jerk reaction to a team that just got beat by a better team in the conference finals. Like, I was looking through it for work, and if you look at the 7 years before Tibbs was there, they made the playoffs 0 times, 0 playoff appearances in 7 years. They had a 33% win percentage before Tom Thibodeau was there. They had won 50 games in a season twice in like a 20-year span before Tibbs had gotten there. And then in the last 5 years, he's made the playoffs in 4 out of the last 5. Back-to-back 50-win seasons. They make it to the conference finals for the first time in 25 years this past season. And I honestly thought that he outcoached Joe Mazzulla in the conference semifinals.
Okay.
I mean, they had gone from not switching at all against the Celtics, getting ran out of the gym 4 straight times in the regular season, to switching like crazy, really throwing off that offense, making life difficult for them. Engineering a couple 20-point comebacks to win that series. I thought he did a pretty good job coaching the first round as well. In a nail-biter of a series where they won a lot of close games against the Detroit Pistons. And then I actually give him some credit for, he tried to switch things up against the Pacers, which Tom Thibodeau in the past would not have done that. I mean, he went to the double big lineup with Mitchell Robinson and Cat, Josh Hart coming off the bench. He gave Landry Shamet some minutes. He gave DeLon Wright some minutes. Like, he tried to move some pieces around to make it work in that series. I think they just ended up getting beat by a better team.
Right,
so now you go... Right, yeah, deeper team too, yeah. So now you go from, there's a lot of question marks about what they're going to do with the roster moving forward, and I'm sure there's going to be, a lot of overhaul. We're already seeing rumors about how they want to take a big swing at one of these stars that's available, and so does every other team in the league. But, they have a winning core in place, and with the uncertainty around the Eastern Conference next year, with Giannis, who knows where he ends up, with Jason Tatum's Achilles injury, it feels like the door is open for a team to really solidify themselves. Like, the Pacers obviously have a leg up on everybody right now, but the Knicks felt like they were pretty destined to be that second best, maybe third best team in the East, depending on where the Cavs end up next year, and they might make some roster moves too. And now they basically have to completely hit the reset button with a new head coach, despite Tom Thibodeau finding success over the last 5 years. So honestly, I had to sit with it for a minute, but I kind of disagree with the move the Knicks ended up making.
Yeah, I think I'm still kind of going back and forth. It kind of feels like, okay, you have to do something. But we talked about this at the beginning of the playoffs. I was like, if they don't get out of the first round, okay, maybe you do this, right? But then they got out of the first round and kind of clawed by, and we didn't really expect them to get past the Celtics, and then they did, and for a lot of various reasons, the comebacks and things like that. And you said he kind of made the series funky with the switching and things like that. So once they got to the conference finals and lost the way they did, it felt like, okay, he's kind of gotten over that hump and they're not going to do this. And I think it's interesting, the timing of it. I guess I kind of understand it in a sense that they had to do something. And we talked about this when we talked about what's next for that roster. They're limited as far as how much they're paying people, as far as, what they're actually able to do. Now, the question is, okay, it feels kind of incomplete when you're grading this, right? It's like, okay, what's the next move? Who are they bringing in? Michael Malone is a name that we've seen floated around a lot because he used to be a Knicks assistant. He is from New York City. He's a championship coach. But I've heard some Knicks fans say that kind of just feels like the same thing's coming from a different voice. But it is a different voice, right? Now, there are people talking about Johnny Bryant, who is a finalist for the Suns job, and the Knicks used to be a Knicks assistant, just went to Cleveland for the first year this past year. Are the Knicks trying to get ahead of that and jump the Suns in line and get one of their own back and maybe make that happen and get a fresh young voice and do what we've seen some teams do with younger coaches like the Thunder with Dagnall and stuff like that? And there's a bunch of foolishness being thrown around. I saw somebody throw out Chris Paul. I've seen Jay Wright. I've seen all this stuff. I don't think any of that's going to happen. But I think the big thing is, okay, I would hope that they don't make this move without something else in mind that is going to make things look different, but also similar to what we talked about with the blockbuster trades. Bringing a new coach to install a new system, that's going to already knock you down to being like a new team for the most part. I mean, we saw Cleveland figure it out this past year, even though it didn't work on the back end. But you're kind of setting yourself back more often than not for the first 2-3 months of the season. So I'm really curious to see like what the corresponding move is for the Knicks.
Yeah, Jay Wright is a name that obviously gets brought up every single time that the Knicks have a head coaching or any sort of threat of a head coaching vacancy. I really feel like Stephen A. Smith has a better chance of being the next head coach of the Knicks than Jay Wright does. Like
you or I might actually.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, hey, if they picked up the phone, I would accept that job. I'm not sure Jay Wright would accept that job. But I feel like he's really enjoying retirement. As far as some of the other candidates, like Michael Malone is one that really feels like the most obvious, just because we haven't seen him linked to, there isn't many head coaching vacancies in the NBA right now in general, right. But he was never a candidate for that Suns job or anything like that. It feels like they wanted to go with somebody younger, someone new, and like you said, a new voice, where I do think he would make sense for the Knicks. But at the same time, like to your point, you're kind of just recycling head coaches that have been fired by other teams because it didn't work out. And now, okay, well, can they make it work out here? I do think Michael Malone's a really good coach. I think he'd be a good coach for the Knicks. And it wouldn't shock me if that's the direction they end up going in. But yeah, again, to your point, like you lose all continuity. Any sort of momentum that they gained with this run to the Eastern Conference Finals is now out the window because you're bringing in a new head coach. Who knows what they're going to do with the roster? And, it's just a little confusing because, again, like most successful season in the last 25 years, and you almost like blow it up and hit the reset button. And it's not shocking. Like it was shocking news, but it's not shocking because I had it written down right here. Like every coach of the year from 2018 to 2023 has now been fired. So, that
Crazy.
Award means almost nothing, next to nothing. And
it means you're going to get fired is what it means.
Yeah, right. And this is the second time that he's been fired on a team that also employs Karl Anthony Towns. So clearly there's some sort of, maybe there's a ceiling on that too. But, I'm not putting the blame on Cap by any means. I'm just saying that like these are all reoccurring themes. It's just, it's kind of a confounding decision. The Knicks, I don't know if I necessarily agree with anything that they've done since they've won that second round series. Like they were renaming street signs after like Tyler Kolek and like Ariel Huck-Porty for winning a second round series and making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. The fans celebrated like they won, the championship, even though they still had 8 more wins to go, never got there. Now they fire their head coach. I don't know what's going on with their roster next. I just don't know I don't know if the Knicks are trending in the right direction after just having their best season in the last 25 years.
Yeah. I think my last point on that, and you talked about the street. Thanks for checking out NBA Soundsystem Canada on YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe below and find us wherever you get your podcasts. And on Instagram, we have weekly episodes and bonus content throughout the week.